Hello, I'm Michael Elsner, and I'm hanging out with Michael Wagener here at his studio today. And he's been profiling a lot of his amps that we have here on the wall for his new signature series Kemper profiling amp rig pack.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to go quickly over the amps that we did profile so far and let you know a little bit about it. Okay, we started with the Voodoo amp, 100 watt V-Plex, which is like a Plexi remake. Sounds awesome. Then the Angle, which is the Angle Savage 120 Special Edition. It's the original, which is more of like a high gain amp for macho distortion.
Sure.
Here we have the Industrial amp, which is basically a little mom and pop company that makes these amps, and they're louder than hell. But
right.
It's a great sounding amp, and it has a little bit of a rougher tone. We have the Metropolis 67, which is a 67 Super Bass. Remake meticulously done by George Metropolis, and he remakes amps like to the T, and they sound like the original. Great amp. And that is an original Marshall 2203. I think it's the forerunner of the Marshall 800. This still doesn't have a master volume on it. The typical Marshall amp. Coming over to the other side, we have the Splon. The Splon is somewhat of a Marshall direction kind of amplifier, and the Splon is one of those guys you plug in and it sounds good. Then we have another Metropolis, which is the 100 Super Lead. I think it's called a Super Lead or Lead, 100 Lead, which actually has two settings for the power setting. It has a virtual variac. You can go up with the switch, and then it has more voltage going to the tubes than if you go down with the switch. Something that Eddie Van Halen would do with
absolutely.
a variac, back then.
You get that brown sound.
The brown sound. This is a Stremp. Stremp comes from Struven Amplifiers. This is a company that I worked in during the 70s, and I actually built this particular amp in 1975. So to me, this is like good old, home buddy. Going down, we have the Agnator Armageddon, which is a very versatile amp. It has 3 channels, and they all can have a different distortion setting. It has an active noise gate. Great amp for a whole bunch of different styles of playing.
Okay.
Those are the tube amps so far. Then the next one we did is the another Agnator. It's an M4 chassis with an EG5. Now, I don't even know what the EG5 exactly should emulate, but it's a really fat sounding high gain amp.
Okay.
And this is like a very an amp with a whole bunch of history. This is the original ADA MP1 that I used on White Lion, Skid Row, and Extreme. So, and all 3 bands played through that setting 45, which we have profiled today. And that also includes the Furman PQ3, this is also the original one that we used, and the settings are still actually written on there. So we used the original settings that we used with Nuno on Extreme, that setting, and then profiled that combination. So lots of history there.
So you have a whole lot of these Randall modules as amplifiers as well. Are you going to be profiling any of these?
Yes, we are. Basically, the whole system came from Agnator, and we already profiled the Agnator EG5, and then the Agnator licensed the whole system to Randall, and Randall came up with this system where they have a preamp and then a power amp, and then they had all different kinds of preamps. They're real preamps with tubes in them, and they tried to make them sound as close to the original as possible. Great system. They stopped making it,
Right.
but meanwhile, there was a whole bunch of people that came up with modifications for the modules. One of them is a Salvation Mods.
The Wagener mod.
Yeah, that's Salvation Mods, and actually, he obviously cannot call it the original amp. So he asked me, "What do you want me to call it?" So I say, "Call it the Wagener." And this one actually glows in the dark, and it has
Right.
snakeskin on it. So it's a
Yeah.
true Wagener. So we're going to be profiling that one as well. I think it's close to a Soldano-ish kind of direction. Then we have an orange, which he calls the Mandarin. And we will have the Pete Turley is another person that did fantastic mods. And he did a Wagener, an Ecstasy by Wagener mod, and we will be profiling that as well. And another Salvation mod is the Mamba, which is a remake of the famous Cobra.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we will be doing that as well. A third guy that I have mods on is Jaded Faith, and he made a mod about the 59. Was it 59? Yeah, 59 Randy Rhoads Marshall.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so we were going to be profiling that as well. And maybe if we want to add the M-Watt, this one's called the M-Watt, which is a high watt system, more of a cleaner, the Who kind of tone.
Yeah.
I think that's all the ones that we're going to be doing.
And there's this whole new.
Oh, one more. The original Randall special is the Holy Grail. No, is it the Holy Grail?
This one?
Yeah.
Mr. Scary.
Mr. Scary.
Yeah.
That's the Holy Grail. The Mr. Scary, which is the George Lynch module, and I have to say they came very close to the original tone that we created on the first few Dawkins records. So we're going to be doing that as well.
And there's a whole new profiling process that you've been doing with these
Right.
as well.
This is, I think, it's the first time that has been done. In obviously in collaboration with Kemper.
Sure.
They came up with a DI box, which you insert in between your amp and the speaker, and it has an output that you can direct profile just the output of your guitar amp.
Right.
So in other words, the speaker it's not in the equation.
Doesn't color the sound at all.
If you want to go back later and just run your profiler back through a cabinet,
Right.
then you have the pure amp sound in there.
Cool.
And this is the first time this has been done.
And how many cabinets were you using?
We're using 9 cabinets,
9 cabinets. Okay.
and we have 2 microphones on each cabinet.
Right.
So 18 microphones. I think that's it, right? Yeah, 18 microphones. And I always use at least one Royer R121 on each cabinet, and then a condenser mic. In most cases, I use the 80K LOL series, or the Lauten Atlantis or Lauten Oceanus, or any of the Lauten mics as the brighter part of the equation.
Right. Cool. Sounds fantastic, man.
Yeah.
I think there you go. The Michael Wagener Signature Series Rig Pack from Kemper Profiling Amps.